Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into the heart of baffling stories and unearth hidden truths.
Yeah, and today we've got a really compelling one.
We really do. We're tackling a cold case that haunted investigators for nearly a decade. The unsolved murder of Tommy Hope. Picture this. April 28, 2004. Tommy is found on his kitchen floor covered in stab wounds. Just horrific.
And absolutely baffling at the time. No witnesses, no suspects, not really a clear motive.
Exactly. It was an absolute enigma. A case that just sat cold for, what, 9 long years?
Yeah, 9 years. What's truly fascinating here, though, is how a completely unrelated event nearly a decade later became the single thread that unraveled everything.
So what?
The case was effectively dormant until April 2013. And then Pastor Jerry Sley made this unexpected call to the authorities.
Right. Not about the murder initially.
No, not at all. He was claiming he was being threatened by a woman from his own congregation, a woman named Clara Rector.
And that call you're about to discover was the aha moment nobody saw coming. Our mission for you today is to unpack the incredible, frankly unsettling confession that followed. We'll explore how a decade-old secret finally came to light, revealing this complex web of addiction, obsession, and a really desperate desire for truth.
And to do this, we're diving deep into the transcript of a YouTube video. Boyfriend killer's secret is exposed after a decade.
Okay.
This source gives us the raw, pretty startling testimony of both Pastor Jerry Sley and Clara Rector herself. So we get to hear their words, as they grappled with this buried past.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning then with Tommy Hope. What do we know about him?
Well, the sources tell us he was known to be a drug addict, apparently using substances to cope with past trauma, some from his youth, some from military service.
Right, and that background, his lifestyle. How did that complicate things for investigators back in 2004? It sounds like a tough case already.
Oh, hugely. That's a critical point. His substance use, stemming from that trauma, it immediately complicated the initial investigation.
How so?
Well, it often means fewer reliable witnesses, right? A less clear picture of his daily life, his contacts. And investigators might have maybe prematurely assumed his death was just related to his drug use.
Leading them down potential dead ends.
Exactly. So it becomes a classic cold case scenario where without some kind of new information, it just stalls out.
Until April 2013, Pastor Jerry Sley makes that call.
Right.
Not about the murder, but this complaint about Clara Rector threatening him. This seemingly minor personal complaint. It becomes the key.
The accidental key, yeah.
This is where the story takes such an unexpected turn. What exactly did Clara say to the pastor that day, the thing that kind of blew it all open?
Well, what he recounts is chilling, really. Clara came to his church maybe around 9:30 in the morning, and just sort of out of the blue, he said she just stated, and I killed him.
Wow. Just like that.
Almost matter-of-factly was how he described it. I mean, can you imagine hearing that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
So the pastor obviously pressed her, and she admitted stabbing Tommy. She specifically said, I knew what I was doing. I was mad because he wouldn't give me the drugs that I wanted, and I killed him.
It's just the casualness you mentioned.
Yeah.
Hearing her describe such a violent act that way, what does that tell us? About the secret, maybe, or the addiction?
It raises so many questions, doesn't it? And what's also fascinating here is that this wasn't the first time she'd confessed. Not really.
What do you mean?
She had already told her husband, Jason, and her family apparently years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And their lawyer, according to what the pastor heard, had advised them basically, we don't have to say anything. The burden of proof is on the police, so we just kind of need to forget about it.
Wow. So legal advice to just stay quiet.
Exactly, which highlights this crucial tension, right, between the legal right to remain silent and just the moral weight of knowing something like that.
Yeah.
The pastor even checked himself. He called the Christian Law Association, who confirmed he actually had no legal obligation to report what Clara told him.
Interesting.
Yeah, the pastor felt that Clara had maybe wanted to confess earlier, but the family had sort of held her back.
Okay, so the pastor hears this horrifying confession, knows the family knows he technically doesn't have to report it.
Oh.
But he eventually does. What finally pushed him, it wasn't the confession itself initially.
No, it was Clara's escalating behavior toward him. That became the trigger. The murder confession was sort of the buried secret. But her actions after telling him that secret are what forced his hand.
What kind of actions?
He detailed these sporadic notes she started leaving. At first, just like Bible questions.
Yeah.
Innocuous enough, maybe.
Okay.
But they quickly changed. She started signing them with a heart and love CJ. He described it as almost like a teenage kid.
Right, getting a bit intense.
Yeah, and then it escalated. A note taped to his car door at 4:30 in the morning while he was going deer hunting, complaining about something random in the church.
4:30 a.m. That's crossing a line.
Definitely. Then a letter, complaining she felt left out of the church, and then saying to him, "You're a big distraction to me," and adding, "You're very attractive."
Oh.
The pastor's reaction was strong. He said, "That's of the devil. It's right out of the pit of hell. That destroys churches. It destroys families." You can hear his alarm bells ringing.
Absolutely. So you could see how this obsession, combined with knowing she'd killed someone,
Yeah.
it put him in this incredibly difficult spot.
An impossible spot, really, but the actual breaking point, the thing that made him finally pick up the phone, was a spiral notebook.
Ah, yes, the notebook.
Yeah.
Left on his desk. It had this innocent-sounding title, right? "This is my book. Read it. Tell me what you think."
Yeah, but the contents, not innocent at all. We're talking explicit sexual fantasies about the pastor.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, incredibly detailed descriptions of his big feet, his big hands, and his dark, dreamy eyes.
As a listener, you cringe imagining him finding that.
How did he react? I mean, a pastor finding that on his desk. His reaction was immediate, visceral, anger, concern, especially thinking, what if his wife found it? Or his 11-year-old daughter?
Yeah, of course.
It clearly crossed a major line. This wasn't just infatuation anymore. It felt deeply disturbing, threatening to his family, his ministry.
So what did he do?
He immediately called Jason, Clara's husband, told him basically, "This has got to stop. You guys are going to have to find another church."
Oh.
He felt he just couldn't help Clara anymore.
Did that work? Did Clara back off?
Not at all. She started sending desperate texts. Things like, "Why won't you talk to me? I just need somebody. I need a friend." Then she called him, asked him straight up, "So what do you think about my book?"
Oh, wow. Bold.
He told her he didn't like it, that it was inappropriate. And then came the direct threat. She said, "Jerry, if you tell the law what you know about me, I will destroy you. I will effing destroy you."
There it is. That's the moment.
That was the moment. The pastor said, "Okay, we got to take care of this." That threat, combined with everything else.
It wasn't just about his reputation anymore, was it?
No, he explicitly said his fear wasn't just his reputation. It was the thought that Clara might, quote, "go crazy again and kill somebody else and me no." The guilt, he said, would be immense if something else happened.
Understandable. So he calls the police. What happens next?
Well, the detectives hear this whole story, the confession, the notes, the notebook, the threat, and they don't hesitate. They immediately tell other officers, "Find Clara Rector, arrest her for stalking."
It was stalking initially, not murder.
Right. And the pastor, interestingly, was allowed to just go home. No charges for delaying the report of the murder confession.
Okay, so Clara's brought in, but based on stalking charges, and here's where police tactics get interesting, right? They used a bit of deception.
Yeah, exactly. It's a crucial detail. They initially told Clara she was just being investigated for the incident with the pastor, the notebook, the threats, not the murder.
Why do that?
Well, the source material spells it out. This tactic is sometimes used to, quote, deceive the suspect into waiving their rights. The idea is, if you think you're just there for something minor, like stalking or harassment, you might be more willing to talk without a lawyer.
Right, lower the defenses.
Exactly. If they'd started with, "We know you confessed to murder," she likely would have lawyered up immediately. By the time they pivot to the murder, the suspect might have already said incriminating things or simply forgotten about invoking their rights.
And it sounds like it worked with Clara.
It seems so. At first, she tried to explain away the notebook, said things like, "I had feelings for him that I wasn't going to act on. I knew that it was wrong. I couldn't explain it any other way, so I just wrote it in a story."
Minimizing it.
Totally. Claimed she never meant to scare the pastor. Even called him a chicken. A kind of a wimpy guy who calls the police for anything.
Wow.
She even tried to explain away the threat, the "I'll effing destroy you" line. She claimed the pencil threat, as she called it, just meant she'd let others read the embarrassing book, not physically harm him.
That feels like a stretch.
Yeah. And all this time, she's also confirming her ongoing drug problem. She said, "Oh, it's pretty much been pretty consistent. I used to do meth, and at first I ate coke, and then I got into meth, and then I, pain pills." Admitted she was supposedly doing better until recently.
So the detectives let her talk about the pastor, the notebook, the drugs. Then they pivot.
Exactly. They started bringing up other things they knew. They mention a prior interview they'd done with her years ago where she'd actually confessed back then to having an affair with Tommy Hope.
Okay, connecting her to the victim years prior.
Right, and admitting she got addicted to drugs because of him. They also brought up what her husband, Jason, had told them years ago.
What did Jason say?
He apparently said he wanted him dead. He got my wife addicted to drugs. I'm glad he's dead. Strong words.
Very strong. So they're building the context, reminding her of past statements.
And then, the subtle but powerful nudge. They introduced the idea of advanced DNA investigation, basically suggesting, we have ways now we can probably place you at the scene.
The final push.
Seems like it was, because then Clara began her full confession about the murder itself.
What did she reveal? What happened that night?
She recounted it all. Sneaking out, planning to get high with Tommy, finding his door locked, so she crawled in through a window.
Okay.
The argument started, she said, when they ran out of drugs. I got mad at him for not saving me more since he told me that he would. That was her initial reason.
But it wasn't just about the drugs, was it?
No. She said Tommy was also threatening her, threatening to tell Jason about their affair, and threatening to tell people she'd stolen money and pills from him, which she denied doing.
So things escalated fast. Where did the weapon come from?
She said she grabbed a big butcher knife with a wood handle. It was right there, by the stove in the kitchen. And she made this odd note saying, me and Tom had the same exact set of knives at my house.
Huh. Strange detail to include.
Isn't it? Then the attack. She said she jumped on his back while he was at the freezer. The first stab was to his throat. She said she kept stabbing because he just kept coming at me like he wanted to hurt me more than I was hurting him. Screaming, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, as she did it.
And Tommy. Did he say anything?
According to her, yes. He told her, I think you're killing me. I think I'm dying.
Chilling. Absolutely chilling. What did she do right after?
She said after he fell, she just sat there for a second. Then she grabbed the knife and also grabbed Tommy's wallet.
Took his wallet. Why?
It had a check and like a couple $100. She admitted she took the money to get more drugs.
Wow. Even in that moment.
Yeah. Then she described her escape. She jumped out the window and did a barrel roll, landed on the tires on my back, and ran off by my car.
It sounds almost rehearsed or like something from a movie. Very specific.
Yeah, barrel roll. Okay. And Jason's role in all this. She went home afterwards.
Yes, she went straight home and told Jason everything.
And what did he do?
He immediately helped her cover it up. He burned her clothes and the wallet she'd taken in a metal trash can at their house. And he used a grinder to destroy the knife. Destroyed the murder weapon.
Completely. Clara, even in her confession, was pleading for Jason not to get into trouble, saying he didn't do anything, trying to protect him.
So after holding this in for nearly a decade, why confess now? What was her ultimate motivation, according to her? Did the police pressure just break her, or was there something else?
Well, the pressure was certainly there, but her stated motivation was, well, deeply spiritual, in her words.
Really?
Yeah, she said, because between me and God, if I don't tell the truth right, before I die, I'm going to be a liar when I get to heaven, and I don't want to be.
Huh. Fear of divine judgment after all that time.
Seems like it. She also mentioned not wanting her children to get hurt, though it's not entirely clear how confessing achieved that. But what's really striking is the sense of relief she expressed.
Relief.
Yeah, she told the detectives, I'm actually pretty relieved that I don't have to hold that secret anymore. She even said she expected to be institutionalized, but added, weirdly, not in the loony bin like my mom.
Quite a statement. So what was the final outcome? What happened to Clara?
Clara Rector was sentenced to 15 years in prison for the murder. Her first eligibility for parole was actually pretty recent, January 2024.
15 years. And Jason. He helped destroy evidence, the murder weapon. What happened to him?
Well, Jason was initially charged, as you'd expect, with felony tampering with evidence.
No.
But remarkably, that charge was ultimately dropped.
Dropped? Why? They knew he did it.
Because the statute of limitations had run out.
Too much time had passed.
Exactly. For those listening who might not know, that's a legal deadline. There's a certain window of time after a crime occurs to bring charges. In this case, enough time had passed since he actually burned the clothes and ground down the knife that legally they couldn't prosecute him for it anymore.
Even though they had the confession about it.
Even though they knew he did it. It's a fascinating, maybe frustrating for some, quirk of the legal system.
Definitely frustrating. So, considering everything we've unpacked here, Claire's confession, the pastor's role, Jason's involvement, the decade of silence, What does this deep dive really reveal about the nature of secrets? The sheer weight of guilt.
And those complex lines, right, between like legal obligation, maybe moral obligation, love, self-preservation, they all got tangled up here.
Absolutely. Makes you wonder, how does the passage of time change how we see justice?
Yeah, and maybe the ultimate question, when, if ever, is it truly too late for the truth to finally come out?